I have a new girl crush on YouTube. I just can't stop watching Brett Cooper's videos. With my adblock and VPN on, naturally. But I still can't stop. If you don't know, Brett Cooper is a right-wing Daily Wire pundit who got astroturfed into social media stardom about 6 months ago. In many ways, she isn't too different from the Shapiros or the Walshes of the past. Just another right-wing talking head running out the clock until she says something too Nazi and indefensible for the Daily Wire to continue doing business with PayPal and MasterCard. And she is silently ejected into the background to begin her future of trying to gain relevancy again by rebranding into a hobby channel that hates SJWs, the fate of all right-wing commenters on these platforms. But in some ways, Cooper is unique. In many ways, she is the ultimate proof of the social media age, where newspapers have turned into just telling their readers what happened on Twitter yesterday. And she's taken this to its logical extreme. Her team just searches Twitter and TikTok for comments to respond to, regardless of how much reach a particular comment has. But most importantly, to me, she has that most indelible trait that makes lowbrow conservatism so funny to watch. The confidence to just plow through subjects she has no understanding of.
Another person tweeted out something that, in the grand scheme of things, I agree with, but she obviously had to put a punch in there for her awful conservatives. But she said, I don't care if you are a Republican or you despise the royal family. To make vulgar comments about the Queen's ill health is totally inappropriate. I absolutely agree. And I'm not sure if this person is saying she doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or whatever, or if she is saying, like, you awful Republicans, pipe down because I know you're terrible. I'm not exactly sure what her point is, but if it is the latter, the people who have given the most disrespect to the Queen, who have made those vulgar comments, are not Republicans. All the tweets that I read above, those are leftists. Those are leftist publications.
I think this is perhaps a symptom of the fact that Brett Cooper, the product, is an AstroTurf channel, a performer pretending to be younger than she is, written by Boomer and Gen X men who don't understand social media that well. Your Quarterings and Crowders and Mullins tend to aim themselves at focus areas and weave their conservative talking points into their natural skills and hobbies, often a trending topic, but only one topic at a time. And never underestimate their ability to drag out a Brie Larson story for 8 months. Or you have your classically Abbeys of the world, whose channels center around specific goals. For Abby, it's being a trad wife. For Andrew Tate, it's pickup artistry and human trafficking. They all have their lane. What I mean to say is these channels all have a focus. Even if that focus is very fuzzy, it means they are masters of their relevant talking points in the culture war. Quartering will gladly debate any woke comic book fan who can stand the smell to be within 20 feet of him, and he could no doubt summon up a plethora of badly understood statistics and dramatic moments from the nerd industry in the past 10 years to buffer his points. Aidan Paladin probably has a litany of scientific literature she didn't read. In short, if they were trying to publicly defend their ideas, they could spin their wheels for a couple hours before the layman audience caught on. Brett is not this. Instead, she is someone who will tackle all trending topics regardless of how much she knows about a specific issue.
I absolutely agree. And I'm not sure if this person is saying she doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or whatever, or if she is saying, like, you awful Republicans, pipe down because I know you're terrible. I'm not exactly sure what her point is.
It is even funnier the second time.
Like, take this clip from her responding to the cast of Hamilton's Get Out the Vote campaign. Brett starts the video talking about her past as a theater kid, but every time theater programs come up, she mocks them.
I don't think it's a secret anymore, not that I was ever trying to hide it, but I don't think it is a secret that I was a theater kid in the slightest. It is how I got into acting in the first place. I did tons of community theater, and then I went and did regional theater, and then I was doing professional theater, and then I was in New York, all that stuff. So I am like the quintessential musical theater Broadway kid.
A few moments later.
I guarantee they went to Syracuse University and got a musical theater degree. You should not trust them. We're going to tell you everything we know. That means they're going to indoctrinate you with probably very, very terrible ideas from their musical theater program.
But let's not ignore this gem. In a video posted 3 days after Ron DeSantis committing his alleged human trafficking crimes.
Exactly. You can't even get on a plane if you do not have an ID.
Timely as always. Or watch her commit this self-tell.
I wish Hamilton wasn't so slanted, bruh. It's obnoxious. Yes, this is one of those things where they are making it impossible to separate the art from the artists. I would love to be able to, watch the recorded version of Hamilton and listen to the music and just appreciate it for the brilliant piece of art that it is, because it truly is an amazing piece of art and an amazing Broadway show. But these people make the entire production insufferable.
Now, I'm not a fan of Hamilton. I am just not. It's just this generation's Rent. But I'm not so much of a stunted loser to say that the show is not inherently political. And I would go so far as to say if you are not engaging with the show's politics, any claim that you are a fan of the show is a transparent lie. Is Brett's brain one of those shriveled up little raisins if you cut open her skull? I'm asking you directly, Brett, because I'm sure you know plenty of phrenologists who could tell you.
Say that they're just trying to get people to vote, but then they say things like your choice matters.
Before anyone goes accusing me of erasing Brett's agency in her channel by saying it's written for her by boomers on the Daily Wire staff, I invite you first to explain this.
That's why, you see people like Bette Midler and Bernadette Peters get up on stage and go, "Get out of my theater!" Like they will stop the show. They're all obnoxious.
Bette Midler? That was the most recent liberal Hollywood person you could come up with? Really? I mean, even if Brett is my age, that reference would be too old for her. And now I had to experience this side by side, and you have to as well.
God and family and the Constitution. I tried to get another conservative to run.
Last time, the rules and regulations can get sticky.
But now we're here to help, cause we know you love our show, friends. We can help you.
Brett also responds to things in a very strange way. Like, something a young person understands is sarcasm or a joke. She takes on straightforwardly.
Thankfully, the comments did warm my heart because so many people were just happy to see a little old woman having fun. Her granddaughter played Hamilton in the car once, and she said, "I can do that."
Oh, but don't worry. It's not just black people that Brett Cooper doesn't like. It's queer people, too. She's talked about drag shows on her channel before.
Another person said, "It is sick, it really is. The parents are to blame. If they didn't show up, the drag queens would go away. These poor innocent children are being subjected to this freak show." Yes. Another person said, "Exactly like Hooters." Yes. And I also don't like Hooters.
Obviously, you don't like Hooters, Brett. You have clearly never been inside one. Also, children are allowed in Hooters.
Your gold and silver will be shipped directly to your door, fully insured, where you can store it in your own safe, bury it in your yard, whatever you need to do to keep it as far away from Nancy Pelosi as possible.
Gods, libertarians are going to cry when Pelosi dies. Who will they have left?
I mean, they are so driven by these extreme heightened emotions of anger and rage and ideology and fear that they have totally bypassed and forgotten the most basic human emotion of empathy. I think altruism, when taken way too far, is a cancer. I'm just putting it out there. You have to be a little bit selfish.
Gods, do you see what I mean now? Brett Cooper is just so clippable and bad at her job. Well, I should say bad at her diegetic job. Her actual job is just to read the scripts Benny Shaps puts in front of her with animation, and she's excellent at that. Ben can't just transition, so he hired Brett to handle it for him. It's just this unfiltered mess of the typical Shapiro sob stories about how Pundit X used to love Y, but now can't do them anymore because they've gone too far left.
Who's your dream dinner guest? Oscar Wilde could be interesting. Or Jane Goodall. Jane Goodall has gone so woke, though. Guys, I loved Jane Goodall. I was Jane Goodall for Halloween.
This is part of a video where Brett is doing a BuzzFeed quiz, and it is the biggest self-report on YouTube. And yeah, don't think you have too much to talk about with Oscar Wilde there, Brett. It's also kind of funny that she doesn't even mention or mouse over Serena Williams or Michelle Kwan. I'm sure there's nothing in common there. At the same time, she has these bizarrely revealing biographical details that feel too real to be scripted.
Pick a magazine.
A few moments later.
Well, I'll do National Geographic because the pictures are pretty. I don't need to look at what they have to say about the environment and the Green New Deal. I'll just look at the pictures of animals.
Like, yes, I absolutely believe that Brett is someone who only looks at the pictures. That's flawless characterization. But then she has this.
Pick a genre. I don't like movies enough for this. Can it be books?
But 3 questions back, when she was asked what she uses her tax rebate on, she didn't even look at the books option. And the cherry on top of all of this is the conclusion.
Which, by the way, I should be a humanitarian. You are a giver, a justice seeker. You spend more time thinking about others than yourself, and more than anything, you just want what you're doing to help somebody in some way. Essentially, you is kind, you is smart, you is important. Okay, quote from The Help. Other occupations, social worker or a judge. Literally, BuzzFeed does not get me at all.
Look at how upset she gets. This is Brett Cooper. It is postmodern conservatism in its rawest form. Nothing matters but what will get me points in this 20 seconds. And never mind if it conflicts with what I said 20 seconds ago. What matters is scoring points now. This is the raw feed of that stuff. All of the pomp and ceremony of intellectualism burned away. The excess organs of democracy and freedom rotted off to transform its body into something powerful and good at winning fights on Twitter. To me, Brett Cooper is the best postmodern conservative. No aims to pretend she's anything but a grifter out here for money. And hey, that's why you'll make it big in capitalism, kid. I say kid facetiously here. Brett is probably older than I am. That would explain the plethora of clips from the 1980s. Although, if she was older than me, she would probably know what an Irish Republican is, huh?
I absolutely agree. And I'm not sure if this person is saying she doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or whatever, or if she is saying, like, you awful Republicans, pipe down because I know you're terrible. I'm not exactly sure what her point is.
Oh, fuck. Sargon was right. Feminism is cancer. I have cancer after watching this much Brett Cooper.